Hi, I'm Drew. Welcome to the Beggars Woodshop. Part 2 of our table saw series. And we're going to align the tables, the guards, and hopefully make some cuts. That's coming up right here on the Beggars Woodshop. Come on inside.
This program has been made possible by contributions from our viewers. Thank you.
Okay, it's been a couple of days, and I went over the problems off camera. This table is indeed slightly off by about a 1/16th to a 32nd of an inch. You may say to yourself, that's tolerable, yes? No. That off of a cut is going to affect the rest of your cuts later on down the road. We want to make this thing as precise as possible. Now, come on underneath and let me show you how to adjust that. Right here is a slot that leads to bolt up here that is hexed, and I don't have one big enough. There are two on this side and two on the other side. You need to adjust those in order to help line things up properly. We're going to skip that for right now and just line everything else up. I'll fine-tune it later when I actually have the correct size hex for that bolt. I could use a screwdriver, but when I tried, it felt like I was just going to strip things out, and that's going to cause more problems. I also can't really get a wrench in there to grip everything. So we're just going to wait till later. So now that we know that issue, I went ahead and really triple-checked all the other alignments. My miter gauge, I also triple-checked. When I had a look at the manual, I happened to notice a couple of the washers were missing. That could have been my mistake, as well as previous owners. It's a little unsure, but I'll take the blame on this one because I had to disassemble this in order to do a lot of cleaning. Believe me, these things needed cleaning. So now that I've got it aligned, let me show you a couple of other little things we have to do. First off, we need to set this to exact 90. Now everything is already aligned 90 degrees, but I want to make sure that there's a stop. There's 3 stops actually, 2 for 45 and 1 for 90. I want to make sure they're perfect. And when I last looked, they weren't. So I'm going to put my stopper in, take a flathead screwdriver, and adjust it inward till it reaches 90. Okay. Let's see. Just slightly off. There we are, 90 degrees. Perfect every time. Now I'm going to do the same for 45. A little stiff, we'll get there. It's a little stiff on this side, but that's okay. Let's go 45 the other way. Ooh, that's close. Right on the money. 90, 45. Well, a little fine tuning on that side. But essentially, we are there. Alright, now with that part done, let's install our pistol grip. All set to go. Okay. Now, let's get to these tables. Let me show you the first thing we gotta do. Get a wrench and follow me.
Underneath the extension table are bolts. Each bolt has 2 nuts. These are used to level the table perfectly. I decide to level the table with the help of the main table. I attach the tubes for the floating tables and line everything up. Then, I adjust the bolts so that they are perfect every single time. I use my level to help make sure I am on the level. When switching to the other side of the headstock, I ran into the issue that nothing was lining up. This is in part because I am using an old greenie. If you are using a more modern Mark V or Mark VII, you will see this leveling screw. This will allow you to get it perfect every time. I'll have to compensate for this in the future with a separate table. But until then, let's move on. Now I add the saw blade and the saw guard, making sure everything is nice and level. It's always good to make sure that the saw blade and the arbor are fully attached before attaching them to the rest of the machine with the guard. Lower the table into place, and we can check the upper saw guard. There is a slot in which to set the upper saw guard. I had a little trouble doing this, especially when it was loose enough for the clamp. But eventually it went in. Now let's check the alignment to the blade. As you can see, that alignment is off. Fortunately, there's a way to adjust it. On the back of the lower saw guard is a screw, right by where it goes against the main machine. Adjusting that screw in and out will help adjust the splitter more in line with the blade. It's going to take a lot of fine-tuning, but you'll eventually get there.
Okay. I finished the video a couple of days ago, almost a week now, and I realized how much I goofed up. Mostly because I had a little battery problem. It was dying and I kind of wanted to hurry and get the shot. And if I had used the finish of that video, you would have seen me make a mistake. And today I'm going to actually correct that mistake. What was my mistake? Didn't align the fence. Yes. So, there's a difference between the 510 and the 520, but some of the setup is the same. The 510 and the 505, as well as the 500, they have a similar setup. I'm going to show you the 520 here. First off, I line up with the edge of my miter slot. Make sure that it's lined. And I got 2 levers here. Bottom lever, we'll lock it to this side. Top lever, we'll lock it to the opposite side. I give it a little tug. That's not moving. And I give it a little feel with my fingers. From the feel of things, I am dead on even. Looks like it's even, and if you want to triple check that it's even, you can of course take a little measurement with the combination square. I think I'll do that using the other side of my table. Okay, good at that. Ooh, well, a hair off, just a hair. But that's... oh. Might need a little tightening. Then again, might not. Again, I've got to fiddle with this. So, let me go over a couple of little things. First off, the levers. How do I tighten or loosen them? Because you don't want them too tight that you can't get them all the way down. You don't want them too loose that the whole table moves. Well, top lever, right up here, is a nut. You can see the little piece it's attached to. You tighten and loosen that. Bottom lever, it's underneath. Right here. Same situation. And as for adjusting the fence as a whole, well, some screws up here, there's 4 of them. You take your, of course, 5/32 Allen wrench, loosen, make sure everything is perfectly aligned, tighten, and everything is good to go. I'm going to fine tune this one in a sec. Well, what if you've got a 500 or a 510 fence? Well, let me show you this. I still happen to have my old Greenies table and fence. Underneath right here are 2 nuts. Hex heads, of course. You loosen them, put it on the table, make sure everything's lined up, tighten down, okay? Not too much because you want to be able to lift this off. You make sure everything's... actually, no, what am I saying? No, you do. You tighten it down. This nut here, this head, you tighten first. Loosen, take it off carefully, and tighten the other one. And then triple check. Make sure everything's all good to go. Now there's a little set screw here, and on some later models there's a second one over here. Ignore them. They're actually not for alignment. They're for making that little tiny cut that might be a little offset. I.e., you kind of adjust the fence this way or this way, mostly for sanding. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take care of all this little off camera. Make sure it's lined up, nice and perfect and cooperating. I'd love to cut a piece of wood for you, I really would. But like I said earlier, my table is slightly off and I don't have the tool to adjust underneath. But I'll keep you up to date on what's going on there. Now, let me talk to you about the project we're going to work on next time. Okay, after all of that work, I had to do a lot more testing and setup. In fact, this is probably about the 4th ending I've had to shoot, because I always keep forgetting something. I had to spend a lot of time getting this thing straightened out, right down to taking it over to my vise, doing a little pressing and twisting. Even now, I'm not 100% convinced this is perfect. I did one test, it seemed to be okay. Now I'm going to do one for you on camera, folks. Before you go chopping and hacking, we gotta talk about safety. Read the manuals that come with your power tools. The more you understand and follow those safety rules, the less likely you are to cause personal injury either to yourself or someone else. Hearing protection is a must. We don't want to go deaf while we're still young. Of course, the greatest protection you can take, eye protection. You will be thankful the day these come in handy. Let's just hope it never does. Alright, I'm going to start with a crosscut, and then we'll do a rip.
While making this cut, I'd just like to say that I have, at this point, indeed purchased the correct tool to align my tables perfect. I didn't show it because it is a very time-consuming process, but it is worth it in the end to make the perfect cut.
Didn't cut all the way through because I got the blade too low. Let's try that again. Blade guard kept that piece from getting cut off. No burns. That's good. Let's set up a rip. Right. Just for extra safety, garage door is open in case I get a little kickback. Cross your fingers. Okay. Not the greatest piece of wood to pick, but it is cutting okay. However, let's lower our blade and find out what's going on here. This is not the greatest piece of wood. Ooh, that was pretty close. A little burning. Yeah. I've still got some fine-tuning to do. But I'm still at least pleased with how this has turned out. Doing some good work here. Yes, I know I should have hooked up my dust collector, but that's a power issue with the shop. I'll solve that another time. Overall, I'm still gonna have to take closer looks, but otherwise I'm very pleased. Now, come on down here and let me show you the project we're gonna work on next time. Here. It's called the accessory shelf. Most shopsmiths can have them, if not all, minus the shorties, and I'm gonna show you how I set up mine and got things looking nice. And that's next time, right here, on the Beggars Woodshop.